What's going on, guys? My name is Austin, and this is the Bodies and Business Podcast. When watching this podcast, I hope you hear something that helps you with your business or your body, or you get some type of content that I talk about that you can go watch or listen to, because honestly, that's where I get my best insights, is listening to people that have done way bigger things and better things that I've ever done, and hearing them talk about their journey and what they've learned is incredibly beneficial for me. I spoke with someone this week and told them that 10 years ago when I started listening to podcasts, I felt like I was able to open the door to people's understanding of like how to be great. I didn't read a ton growing up, and I don't equate that to me being not that smart, but like it just wasn't something that I was very interested in at the time. I played a lot of sports. I loved math and all these other things, but reading just wasn't something that I really, took to. So now I am trying to listen to as many books as I can, listen to as many people as I can, and learn from them and try to take their knowledge and apply it to mine from a business standpoint or a body standpoint. So let's jump right into it. The first podcast episode I'll talk about is the Robert Greene podcast that My First Million did with him. And it was honestly, I've heard a few podcasts that have been done with Robert Greene, and this one was really good because I think they talked about a couple topics that I really enjoyed. He said in one portion of the podcast that take life seriously. And the one reason I think he made that comment and made that statement was because I think he believes that a lot of people kind of float through life and, don't take things too seriously and just say, I'll do that next week, or I'll do that next year, or, maybe I'll get to that thing that I really, really enjoy sometime. And Robert Greene, had a stroke. And so he was, I think, paralyzed for a certain amount of time, or he still might be, because he says he can't go on long walks. He can't type on the computer, and you can't do certain things. And I think that really makes you come to grips with reality when it comes to your mortality, because, one day we will all, leave this earth and we will not be here. And I think having a big life event happen to you like that really puts in the mindset and the perspective of, we're not here for a long, long time, although, life is long and lovely sometimes, but, squeeze the juice out of it, right? And I think that's something that he has created a lot of really amazing books, like 48 Laws of Power, The Mastery. He's created, or he helped write The 50th Law, which is one of my favorite books. I highly recommend going to listen to or reading The 50th Law. I bought that one, and I have it that I'll read every now and then, get some good quotes from that. And so he's just done incredible work. And he said he didn't start doing this incredible work until he was in his late 30s. And he tells the story of how he got to be able to start writing and get paid for writing and really dive into it. But that definitely resonated with me to take life seriously. I feel like I do for the most part, and I've definitely tried to do my best at everything that I usually do. So that was one thing in that podcast that I really appreciated. He also talked about his time with the American Apparel CEO, and they did a documentary on the American Apparel CEO. Sorry. They did a documentary on the American Apparel CEO recently, and I watched it. And in that documentary, it said that Robert Greene was on the board. And I was like, what? Like, this guy was kind of crazy. This guy was, out there. And he actually discussed this portion of it. And he said, in the beginning, he said that this guy was, very sharp, very, compelling about what he was trying to do. But then he realized like he was doing things that he shouldn't be doing, and he didn't want to be associated with that. So he did say, and I was curious about that, because I was like, man, Robert Greene, I can't believe he was backing this guy that was not a really good guy. So I'm glad he went into that and kind of talked about how that guy was not a great leader, and kind of cleared the air for me anyways after I saw that documentary. And then the last thing that I'll touch on that they talked about in the podcast was the inner scorecard and the outer scorecard. And that we all have an inner scorecard and outer scorecard. And what that means is like we have things that we feel like we are doing right on the inside. Like intrinsically, we're like, man, this is the right thing to do. And I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm making the right decisions. But then on the outer scorecard, people can judge you on either how much money you make, the car you drive, the job you have. And that is somewhat an outer scorecard for society. And so Robert Greene definitely wanted to say that the inner scorecard is very, very important. And I think Sean, I think Sean made a comment and said, like, would you rather be a person that the best love maker in the world, but everyone in the world thought you were the worst, or would you rather be the worst lover maker in the world and everyone in the world thought you were the best? And that is to that inner scorecard versus outer scorecard dilemma. Because for me, I feel like running Fly Bodies in these first 3 years that I've really been trying to get schools on board, I haven't made that much money at all, to be honest. I haven't made that much money compared to the outer scorecard, right? The inner scorecard for me on Fly Bodies is I've made progress each year, whether that be like adding one more school or helping another person out or bringing somebody on to help me grow Fly Bodies. To the outside world, Fly Bodies is not I talked to a guy today, and it's not a $1 million company yet, but that is what people judge a company on, is like how much revenue or how much profit or what's EBITDA and stuff like that. And for myself, I'm like, man, if I can, feed myself good, healthy food, I have a nice roof over my head, and I have good people around me, those 3 things are very important to me. And to be honest, I get to do what I want to do, which is run a company that is devoted to making people healthier. And that was the other thing that Robert Greene actually brought up that I'll say is, he said he absolutely hated working for other people because their egos would get in the way and all these other things. And I think that also hit home for me, was because I have felt like for a lot of my life, I have been a really, really hard worker. And I'm like, the best person should get the job, or we should make the right decision no matter what. I don't care what other people think about that. And it has always bothered me when we don't do that. And so running Fly Bodies has really given me the opportunity to do something that I feel like is the best approach to running a company. And so it was really, really fun to hear Robert Greene go into these things. And having an inner scorecard and outer scorecard and knowing what those are, I think that's important, because something could mean a lot to you, but not a lot to the outside world. And something can mean to a lot to the outside world and not a lot to you. And there's, some crossover between the two, but it's good to know what matters to you most, and that might not align with the world, and it might align with the world. It's just up to you, right? So go watch that My First Million episode. It was really fun, and I really like Robert Greene's take on stuff. The next one I'm going to talk about is my honeymoon. I just got back from my honeymoon about 3 weeks ago. At this point, it's September 1st. So I had a great time. We traveled around Italy. We tried around Greece. And the one thing I'll say that I definitely kept up with was my working out and eating pretty healthy. But I also indulged in a lot of good like desserts and a lot of fried food and all these other types of food. But one thing I think that really helps me out when I'm either on vacation or I was on my honeymoon was I can't stress this enough. I love working out during the day, and I love eating a really good breakfast. And I pretty much got to do those 2 things almost every day. And those are like taking my medicine, because waking up and eating a really good nutrient dense breakfast gives me the clarity that I can start my day off and feel really, really good. So I would eat like eggs or chia pudding, avocado, some whole wheat toast, like olives, onions, all these things. We had incredible breakfasts, and we didn't have to go. If you go on a honeymoon or if you go on a trip, I would recommend getting some type of place that has a really good breakfast. I know not everybody has the capacity or capability to do that, but it starts the day off so well. And it gives you like confidence that you're like, man, I got a really good meal in today, for the rest of the day. I can, maybe dabble in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I know I got a ton of good food in me right now going about the day. So like mentally for me, that was like very reassuring. And then from a workout standpoint, honestly, I did a lot of body weight exercises, which I don't know, like I do a lot of lifting while I'm at home. So it was nice to change it up a little bit, do a lot of body weight exercises. And then I even ran a little bit, which was not normal for me because my knees have definitely taken a toll these past 10 to 15 years. So I changed it up a little bit, and it was nice to be outside a lot and yeah, I just wanted to talk about my exercise routine when I was on vacation, because like I said, that keeps me mentally and physically happy. So the next topic was the Howard Marks podcast that they did on My First Million. I definitely recommend going to watch almost every episode of My First Million. And they have such good people that they interview. And I feel like I've listened to people that they interview now that I listened to in the past. I'm like, oh, like we align, you know? I find these people to be just as influential as they do. And so it's kind of cool for me. Like, I remember listening to a interview Howard Marks did 3 or 4 years ago. And he talked about how in the interview, he was like, for 10 years, I was writing this memo that would go out to my investors, and it would talk about like, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, this is why we're doing it. And this is what I foresee happening. And he said for 10 years, like no one responded. He said he sent it out to his investors, and, you know, he basically thought that everybody maybe read it, didn't read it, and whatever. And then in 2000, I think 2000, or I can't remember. I think it was 2000. Was the first time he got people to respond back to his email, because he said that there was going to be a giant internet bubble, and there was. And so people started listening to what he said. And he was like, and so I definitely can resonate, and I appreciate him saying that, because a lot of times we do things for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and it feels like it's forever, and it feels like nobody's listening. And so I have felt that way a lot of times when I make these videos. And I feel like, man, am I really making them for the masses, or am I making them for myself? Or am I making them for evidence so that, you know, I can go back 10 years from now and be like, hey, I was trying my best to present this message to people and help them on the health and wellness journey. But for Howard Marks, it's cool because it's, you know, 2025, and that was 25 years ago. And then he did the same type of memo in 2008 and said, you know, hey, there was a housing bubble, and they were ready for that. They were able to invest in so many good investments because everybody had tanked and stuff like that. So he had some really fun quotes in that discussion. I want to say a couple of them. He said, the riskiest thing in the world is to believe there is no risk. And I love that quote because everything you do is a bet. And what I mean by a bet is you're choosing to do one thing versus doing something else every day. I'm choosing to make this video versus working on Flybody's content elsewhere, or write an email, or, you know, spend time upstairs with my wife. I am investing, and everything has a risk, and everything. So getting in your car, there is a risk of getting into a car accident. There's a risk of not making it to the next destination. There is higher risk in other areas, but that's what you have to realize. Everything you do, there is risk and reward. The higher the risk, usually the higher reward. Lower the risk, lower the reward. But it's good to know that everything we do is not just a super safe bet. It's not just because you think it is, doesn't mean it is. And so I love that he said that, because it just makes you rethink that any path that you take has risk to it, and you need to understand those risks before making those judgments. And, you know, you're not always going to know all the risks associated with making those decisions, but try to know as much as you can as the risks you're taking. Another quote that he said was, what else did he say? He said, if you have more money than you need to eat, the first purpose of your money should be to make you comfortable. And I think that's also very me as a 36-year-old right now, who definitely wants to make more money so that I can make more of an impact in this world. It's interesting because it's like a lot of times individuals will make a certain amount of money and then lose it all doing something that was super, super risky. So going back to that risk quote, when you make a certain amount of money and you can live a comfortable life, he was saying you should never risk more than you can to continue living that comfortable life. And I think that's very important because, you know, there's only a short amount of time that we're on this world. And so you want to be able to, at a certain point, be financially, at the time we are in now, you want to feel financially secure so that you can live a nice, calm life for the most part. There were 3 things, and they're not popping up right now, but yeah, highly recommend going to watch that episode. He has some great quotes in there, and he talks about the way he invests and not picking losers, and being good enough, and not worrying about being great, but just being good enough to be, you know, positive in the positive and not lose as many times. So I thought that was a good approach too. So the last thing that I want to talk about on Bodies in Business today is some things that I actually encountered this week. And they're two different scenarios, but the first scenario, and the moral of this story is like, respond as fast as you can. And be open to wanting to meet as fast as you can. If you're a business owner and your business isn't like a multi-billion-dollar business, you can take your time. But if you are a small business owner and somebody's reaching out to you because they want to either help or they want to collaborate or want to do something, I know you can't get all of them all the time, but there were two instances this week where I had two totally different responses. One instance, I reached out on LinkedIn to somebody and I said, "Hey, my name is Austin. I would love to connect and tell you an idea I have." The person said, "Yeah. What's your schedule like?" Responded to me in like 5 minutes and said, "This sounds great. Like, thanks for reaching out. What's your schedule like?" We set up a meeting for the next day. And then we talked for about an hour and it sounds like some really fun stuff's going to come out of that meeting. Then I got an email from someone that said, "Hey, I can't meet you for 5 months because my life is crazy." And it's so funny to me that some people are willing to answer in 5 minutes and other people don't want to answer for 5 months because they feel like that they just have too much going on. And I know not everybody can respond in 5 minutes. I know not everybody's schedules are set up for that. But for the most part, I think a lot of people who are able to respond in 5 minutes are usually see a lot more success in the amount of growth and progress that they have because they make themselves available. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you have to do as a business owner or running a company. You have to make yourself available and you have to be open to meeting new people and hearing ideas. I had a meeting this morning with a CEO group guy that was trying to get me to join their CEO group. It didn't go, the meeting went okay, but I'm not going to join the CEO group, but I just wanted to kind of hear what they had to say and hear what they had to offer. And it took 30 minutes. And if it was really, really good, I would have been like, man, I really want to think about joining this group, but it didn't go super well. So I'm like, I probably won't join. But the moral of that story is like, I think we all have a little more time than we think. And honestly, meeting with somebody, you could actually get some type of idea or some type of inspiration, and it can help you out a lot at your juncture in life and you don't even know it. So that's, I know like I said, I know not everybody has all the time in the world to meet or text or email all the time. I don't expect that to happen, but as a young, in the early stages of a business, like I try to make myself available as much as possible so that I can help anybody who wants to help or collaborate or take advantage of an opportunity that may not come around for a long time or something. So that's it. Go watch those podcasts and go download some of Robert Greene's books. They're so good. They're really, really good. And one thing about his books is the 48 Laws of Power. Just like anything else, things can be used for good and things can be used for evil / nefariously, because it doesn't matter what it is, things can be used in a positive manner or a negative manner. So just because his book was used by the guy who created American Apparel doesn't mean he's a bad person. Doesn't mean Robert Greene's a bad person. It just means his stuff was just used to manipulate other people. And that happens. So highly recommend going to Robert Greene's books, 48 Laws of Power, 50th Law, Mastery. Those are good. And then Howard Marks. Go listen to that. On any honeymoon or vacation you have, don't stop working out. Go for long walks, do some push-ups, do some air squats, do those things. Those are super helpful. Eat good food. You can eat food that like is just mouth pleasure and just tastes good, but I had this Dubai chocolate ice cream that, I'm not kidding, I would probably eat it every other day if I could. I had to like stop myself from getting it all the time, but there is some really good food out there that you need to try. But working out really helps so that you can eat more food and stay the same weight around that time. And then the last thing, I can't even remember. Oh, the 5 minutes versus 5 months. Yeah. Need to respond as quickly as possible if you're trying to grow a company. That's all I got, guys. Hopefully that was helpful for you. And I hope you guys have a great week this week and get after it. Thanks for watching.